The Ford Raptor has enjoyed being unchallenged as the apex predator among high-performance pickup trucks for roughly a decade. Performance trucks aren't anything new, as Ford also defined the segment in the early 2000s with the Ford SVT Lightning. Unlike the Raptor, however, the Lightning was an on-road performance truck, where the Raptor is an off-road performance truck. None of that matters for the 2021 model year because the Raptor is no longer at the top of the food chain. The folks at Ram have unleashed a truck that outshines the Raptor in almost every single category. The RAM TRX is a 700 horsepower supercharged off-road monster that makes it clear it's out to devour any Raptors it encounters. So in today's video, we're going to go for a drive with the 2021 RAM TRX and see just how insane a truck can be. Taking a few steps back, when the second generation F-150 Lightning was the reigning king of sports trucks, it was Dodge that came in with their Viper-powered SRT-10 and took that mantle away. At the time, the SRT-10 Ram was the most powerful pickup truck money could buy. So it's only fitting that once again, it's a Ram crashing Ford's party with all the grace of a sledgehammer. In this case, that sledgehammer comes in the form of FCA's very familiar 6.2-liter supercharged V8. Combined with full-time all-wheel drive and launch control, this truck can rocket to 60 miles per hour from a standstill in under 4 seconds. But the TRX's performance isn't the only thing that makes it a special truck. It also looks the part and comes with enough leather and technology that you may think you found your way into a luxury SUV. The TRX has an imposing presence, guided by the aggressive and wide front end. Normal Ram 1500s have wheels up to 8 inches wide. The TRX has 9-inch wheels wrapped in 35-inch Goodyears that help increase the track width by 6 inches. To accommodate these increases, the Ram TRX has flared fenders that make it 8 inches wider than the rest of the Ram 1500 lineup. The hood has plenty of vents and scoops, designed to feed the supercharged Hemi V8 as much air as it needs. The hood scoops provide about 50% of the air to the engine, while the front grille provides the other 50% with Ram badging that is bigger than other Ram 1500s. And the badging features a flow-through design, ensuring the maximum amount of air can make it to the engine. Air curtains on each side of the headlights allow air to flow through the fenders, providing lower pressure to the front end. Blacked out LED headlights are standard with dual projectors. And LED fog lights flank the bottom of the bumper. Regulations require the TRX to be equipped with identification and clearance lamps because it's so wide. The regulation requires that trucks with a width of 80 inches or greater need 3 amber identification lamps. You will notice 3 in the hood scoop. They are also required to have 2 clearance lamps, one at each corner of the front end to indicate the truck's overall length. With the Ram TRX being 88 inches wide, it falls into this category. For reference, the Ford F-150 Raptor, which also has these lights, is 86.3 inches wide. The skid plate, large tow hooks, and steel bumper add additional ruggedness. Our truck came painted in billet silver metallic and diamond black crystal. Viewing it from the side, you get a good feel for how substantial this truck is. All TRXs are crew cab with a 5-foot 7-inch box. On top of 35-inch tires, the TRX gets a 2-inch ride height increase for a total of 11.8 inches of ground clearance. That's enough to help it wade through 32 inches of water. The Ram TRX rides on an all-new independent front suspension and a rear suspension with active damping featuring 2.6-inch Bilstein shocks. The shocks have corrosion protection and are adaptive, ensuring excellent on-road manners while still being able to handle harsh off-road conditions. And of course, a vehicle this size needs considerable stopping power, and the TRX doesn't disappoint with the largest brakes in this segment, huge 15-inch rotors both front and rear. The front has dual piston calipers and the rear makes do with a single piston setup. Never once while driving the RAM TRX did I ever feel there wasn't enough stopping power. The rear also receives LED lighting and marker lights required by regulations. The rear fenders are also wide with fake air vents. There's a large RAM badge in the center of the tailgate with TRX and 4x4 badging on the lower corners. And the RAM TRX has a max payload of 1,310 pounds and a max towing of 8,100 pounds. The key has unique TRX graphics and allows you to lower the tailgate. A RAM bar and LED box lighting are also available. The TRX offers a massive amount of interior room both up front and in the rear with the crew cab. 3 equipment groups are available, the TR, TR1, and TR2. Cloth and vinyl are standard with the TR group. The TR1 and TR2 equipment groups come standard with authentic leather and suede covering almost every single surface. Red stitching and carbon fiber accents are also available. The shifter is floor mounted in the TRX versus the dial style shifter found on other Ram 1500s. Replacing the dial are controls for the transfer case, the drive mode selector, and launch control. There are several different drive modes: auto, sport, tow, snow, and custom for on-road driving. For off-road driving, there's mud, sand, rock, and Baja. Changing between each mode will bring up a graphic in the gauge cluster detailing what you have selected. You can also select drive modes through the massive 12-inch screen. Note, getting into rock mode requires the TRX to be in 4-wheel drive low. The center touchscreen has a ton of different menus and customizations you can set. I did find that the screen was more reactive to touch inputs than in a previous Ram 1500 I tested. However, loading the performance pages takes almost 30 seconds, which is quite a bit of time. And when cycling through the options in that menu, lag is very noticeable. The screen is compatible with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Although the screen is large, with it being vertical and not horizontal, Apple CarPlay only displays in a small portion up top. The cameras around the truck help provide a 360 view, which can be helpful in different situations. Climate controls run through the touchscreen with some controls on the side. 6 auxiliary switches are available for whatever you want to connect. There's no shortage of connectivity options that include USB-C ports and wireless phone charging. The center console is covered in leather and suede and has a plaque that contains information about the vehicle. That information includes things like the VIN, the supercharger capacity, and the horsepower. Open the center console and you're greeted to 2 levels of storage, an additional USB port, a 115-volt connector, as well as numerous charts that help you if you're ever out in the field working and need to take some measurements or do conversions. While TRX is officially the name of this truck, there are a couple of Easter eggs hidden throughout that make it obvious that Ram is invoking the spirit of the Tyrannosaurus Rex or T-Rex to take on Ford's Raptor. One of those can be found at the very bottom of the center console. There's an accurate 1/60th scale of a human compared to a Ram TRX, compared to a T-Rex, compared to a Raptor. And it shows that unfortunately the Raptor doesn't exactly stack up in size to the T-Rex. The TorqueFlite 8-speed automatic is quick and doesn't struggle to put the supercharged V8's power to the ground. The paddle shifters do have an odd design to make room for the audio controls that are also found on the back of the steering wheel. They're made of high quality material and I like the little cutouts for the plus and minus, but the split out design can make them a bit weird to use if you're used to having normal paddle shifters. There's a 19-speaker Harman Kardon audio system that provides plenty of thump with 900 watts of power. Things are just as good in the rear with tons of headroom and legroom. and a completely flat floor for loading items. The seats can fold up for even more room with an adjustable divider. In the floor, RAM includes additional storage and hooks. The sheer amount of connection ports included in this truck is extraordinary, and that theme continues in the rear with more USB ports. This panel also has controls for the heated and cooled seats, and while it is common to find heated seats for rear passengers, cooled seats are a rarity outside of top luxury brands, so it's actually really impressive that they are included in the TRX. Fold down the center seat and you'll also find additional cup holders as well as storage space. Wrapping up the interior is a large panoramic sunroof. Of course, at the heart of the RAM TRX is the engine, so let's press the start button and start it up. The RAM TRX comes fitted with FCA's very familiar 6.2-liter V8 with a massive 2.4-liter supercharger. Output is 702 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. In this application, power is lower than in other vehicles with this engine, and that's because RAM included a more restrictive airbox that makes the TRX capable of breathing clean air even when dealing with off-road conditions. And of course, the real centerpiece of the RAM TRX is the engine. I mean, I don't know what a T-Rex sounds like, but I imagine it's probably something like that. I mean, between the sound of the supercharger and then just the exhaust from this massive V8, this thing sounds so ridiculous, and I absolutely love everything about it. And there's really no one else in the industry that's making ridiculous engines like this other than FCA, especially under $100,000. Sure, you can get into some exotics that have ridiculous engines, but under 100 grand to have something like this, a 700 horsepower supercharged massive V8, is just really a joy to drive. The TRX does have launch control that can be activated through the touchscreen or simply by pressing the launch control button. And you can even change the launch RPM to your preferred setting. Press the brake hard, floor the throttle, release the brake, and the full-time active BorgWarner transfer case gets the power to the ground. In our hacked measurements, we consistently saw 0 to 60 times hovering just under 4 seconds. It probably doesn't make any sense for a truck to be able to go that fast, that quick, but nonetheless, here we are in 2021. Of course, drag racing isn't actually the goal of this truck. In fact, a flat-out quarter-mile run will put you very close to the TRX's limited 118 mile/hour top speed. The TRX is all about going fast, but doing so off-road. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do any off-roading with the TRX, but I have no doubt it can handle nearly anything thrown at it better than any other production truck. If the road has dirt, sand, and a few bumps, I am sure it will quite literally leave all other production trucks in the dust, the Ford Raptor included. With massive horsepower and excellent components, the TRX is simply in a class of its own. And I will even go a step further and say that FCA as a brand is also in a class of their own, and not due to some technological marvel. Instead, it's their application of this beast of an engine throughout a good portion of their lineup. What other manufacturer has an engine making this much power in as many of their production vehicles with relatively reasonable pricing? The answer is absolutely none. When it comes to giving outright horsepower to the masses, no one comes even close to FCA. The RAM TRX isn't good just because of its engine, however. The interior quality is class-leading, and even though this is a large truck, it's quite manageable as an everyday vehicle. The 12 miles per gallon combined city highway is certainly rat poison to tree huggers, but shouldn't come as a surprise. And although it doesn't have the highest towing and payload capacities, it's still pretty good for a truck that's not designed for all-out hauling. As it stands, the TRX is the current apex predator among performance trucks, but Ford, not simply being one to roll over and take it, has announced a new, more powerful Raptor, likely with some version of the supercharged V8 found in the GT500 coming next year. But until then, if you want the most insane truck money can buy, look no further than the Ram 1500 TRX. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. You can also find us on Instagram at rideXdrive.